trading at its best.
So welcome to the Forex Weekly webinar. I'm Mike Swanson. Those of you that don't know me, I've been trading for 10 years now, and I've been teaching other traders for about half that time. So today we have a brand new lesson that we're going to talk about, a simple breakout method. I did another training on a simple trading strategy for trading a bounce in a trend. Today I'm going to teach you a method for a breakout. So I'm going to be showing you how to confirm breakouts with the stochastic indicator, something I actually have never taught before, but it's a nice little confirmation. I'll show you the method and a way you can use the stochastics that you've probably never thought of before. And then I'm going to show you some different filters that you're going to want to use to improve your results with this. And one of the filters we'll talk about briefly will be market sentiment. We've done a lot of trading on market sentiment, but I'll show you how to apply it with this method as well. Okay, so let's talk about here first, confirming breakout points with that stochastic indicator. What are the settings? There's 3 different settings on this indicator, and most platforms that you use will have this tool. This indicator is pretty standard. So the %K is one of the options here. You'll need to set that to a period of 5. The default's usually 14. We're going to make it 5. And then the %D we'll set to 3. That's usually the default. And then the slowing set to 3. That's usually the default on that one. So really the only thing we're changing is the %K to a period of 5. So it'll move a little faster and not lag as much. And then also, the way we're going to use this indicator, lagging is really not going to be a problem. You'll see what I mean. I'll bring up my charts here in a minute, and we're going to go over how these setups work. Okay, but basically, when you have to get a sell setup for where you're going to potentially sell a breakout, what you're going to do is check for at least 3 bars to the left and right of a swing low. Now, they don't have to progressively be higher lows. You just need to have that middle bar needs to be the lowest one. And then 3 to the left need to have higher lows. 3 to the right need to have higher lows. That's what we need for this particular setup. The one I taught last week with the trend line breakout strategy, that one was for 10 bars to the left and right, but it was a little bit different method. So for this one, it's 3 bars to the left and right. Now the filter that we're going to use with the stochastic is we're going to check that right around that swing low point, when it was forming, that we had the stochastic below 20. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to know that there was some significant movement in the market at that point. Okay, so by seeing that the stochastic is below 20, you'll see that it helps filter out those false breakouts where there wasn't really a very significant swing point. Okay, so there's many ways you can do this, but I'm going to show you today how to do it with stochastics. So then the other one, the other direction for a buy trade, that one actually, I'm going to edit that real quick here. That one is actually just going to be exactly the same, just flipped for a buy trade. It's just going to be using the swing high. So you're going to check for at least 3 bars to the left and right of a swing high. So again, they don't have to be, each one doesn't have to be lower highs. It just needs to have the middle bar be the highest one out of the whole group, out of a total of, I guess, 7 bars, right? 3 to the left, 3 to the right, then you got your middle one. And then when you see that, you want to check for those when the stochastic is above 80. So the fastest way to do this on both of these setups is to find these points, or to go look at your stochastics, see if it's above 80, then check for your swing points. So I'll show you those setups on the charts, and then we're going to go to that here in just a second. Now the last filter, once you have those setups, is I like to check the market sentiment through our Informer tool. Check to confirm that there's no major support and resistance near the breakout. And by major, in this case, we're looking at just the really dark areas. The dark red and the dark green. Those are going to be the major levels. So we just want to make sure we're not trading right into one of those, or if we are, we're going to want to make sure it penetrates through before we enter our trade so that it clears those levels and doesn't bounce. Okay, so let's go to the charts and kind of pull this all together and show you how the setups look. what they look like and how they work. So here's my chart. I just grabbed a euro-dollar 1 hour. I'll note here that this setup will work on any pair and time frame. Pretty much everything I teach, it's not exclusive to one specific pair and time frame. It hasn't been curve fit like that, or it's not something that's been specifically designed for that, for a specific time frame or pair. So you can grab any one of these pairs and time frames. You know, some may work better than others, and you'll maybe find your own ways of filtering after you kind of manually back test and look over these. But for now, we're just going to grab one of these euro-dollar 1 hour charts, and I've applied the stochastics. I just found that over here in the indicator list, stochastic oscillator. And what I've got is those settings. We got the 5 for the K, 3D, 3 for slowing. Everything else I leave the same. The low, high, price field, exponential, all that can stay the same, the default. Okay, then you'll see that they have these dotted lines, and some platforms might display it a little different, but you'll see you've got that 80 level and that 20 level. So those are the levels we're going to be watching for the indicator to go over. Okay, so you see right here how it went above that 80 level. You see down here how it went below the 20. All we're doing is waiting for those levels to show up, and then we're going to look where that 3-bar high and low formed. Okay, so there's your high right there. You had a high, lower, high, you got lower, 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 lower. So you've got that bar right there is your swing high. Okay, now when you have the swing high, you're going to mark that as a potential breakout for a trade. Okay, now if it goes clear out here and comes down, and you got another one that forms, you would continue to move this line along. Okay, so we didn't get another one on the swing high side that formed until right here again when it went over 20. When it went over 80. Okay, then right when it's doing that, we want to look for the 3-bar high. Well, it got a high right there, and then it went lower high, but then it went higher high. So we're going to scrap that trade for a breakout because it didn't confirm for us. Okay, so we'd still be looking at this point for the breakout. Now, the swing low, as I kind of drew here, it's the same way. It's the same thing. You get below the 20, look for 3-bar low, swing low right there, there, and it moves up. So you've got that point. So you could draw, okay, I will sell when it just breaks that low by a pip. I mean, you don't need any, you don't have to do a whole lot there. Maybe you can apply some of your own filters if you feel like you need to add a little bit, a couple more pips on there. But the idea is we're hoping we've done enough filtering between this, and then I'll show you market sentiment here in a second, to know that it's not just going to touch and go. It's more, I have a greater chance of seeing a breakout. Okay, so this is the most recent setups. So if I were looking to take a trade right now, those would be the current places to take the trade. Actually, there is this one that just barely formed 15 minutes ago, right? Right over here. Here you got up above the 80. Okay, you're still kind of hovering above it right there when this point here was formed. So you've got 1, 2, 3 to the left, so that's a confirmed. 3 to the right, you've got the confirmed swing point. So we can move this down now. This is our new potential breakout price for a buy trade. So remember, once you have this set up, we do want to look at the market sentiment. So let's look at it. If we were trading right now, how we would do this. I'll also go over some past examples for this week, but let's look at, let's bring market sentiment up. For those of you that don't have this downloaded, once we get done going over all this, I'll get you the link. But when you download the tool, you go to the market sentiment tab, we can click on our euro dollar, and depending on the time frame I'm trading, I'll need to adjust this period here. Pretty much anything below the 1 hour chart and below, you're going to be on the 24 hours of data for sentiment. If you're up to the 4 hour, even the 1 hour, sometimes you'll be on the 7 day. If you're on 4 hour and daily, you'll mostly be on that 1 month, looking at the support there. The way you can kind of tell is just by matching it up to your chart. Okay, so this is going back about 3 days, so I might actually want to bump this up to my 7 day so I can see a bigger picture. So I can kind of match it up to my chart. So do you see how that Do you see how we've got that flat period, and then the market popped up, flat, popped up? Well, there it is right there. Popped up, came down hard, came down hard. So I matched it up. So now I know I'm on the right setup here. Okay, so we're saying, okay, we want to buy at 39.37. So we can grab our little crosshair and see that's right about here where that swing high popped up. Now we look for where that major resistance is at. Well, it ran right into that orange, which is a medium level of resistance, and it's starting to bounce off. Now up here a little bit further, do you see that little red dot? That's more significant orders. So you're sitting at about 39.50. 39.50 is where a little bit more significant resistance is at. Okay, so now that we've checked that, we can say, okay, we've got resistance sitting up here at 50. Do we really want to jump into a breakout where it might only move 13 pips? Okay, if we do, we're going to want to make sure we can keep our stops tight. Now, I don't know if that's enough room. I'd like to keep my risk to reward around 1-to-1 or better. I'd have to have at the very worst here, a 10 or so pip stop. And I think that's probably too tight for a setup like this. So for me, I would say that market sentiment is filtering this trade because there is some significant orders just above that breakout point. Okay, so what's probably going to happen, if I were to predict what was going to happen here, I'd say it's probably going to pop up. The market's going to make its way back up. Maybe not today. It's for end of day Friday, but maybe market opens back up Sunday and Monday. It probably will head back up here and test through here, and it'll probably run stops. It's probably going to run all these guys out that have those orders sitting up here at 39.50, and then it's going to bounce back. So we don't want to get caught up in all that. Our filter tells us to skip that one. Okay, now while we've got the other one up here, that swing low, let's verify that against sentiment. Okay, so we're looking at 38.45. Now this could change. You're going to want to update this as the price approaches these levels. You're going to want to look at the sentiment and make sure new levels haven't formed. But for right now, currently, 38.45 for a breakout, there is significant orders actually right there at about 38.50. Okay, so here's what we do here. On this one, if it were to break through those, since it's right on top of your entry, then you could go short. You could take that trade and drive it down here to the 3,800 level. So you're looking for about a 40 to 50 pip profit. But I would say I wouldn't enter at the 45. I would maybe try to get in a little bit lower than that. I'd probably go in at like 35. Make sure it penetrates and breaks through those levels and takes out those orders. Okay, and I would be watching it too. This is a trade I wouldn't put a pending order in. I'd want to see how the market reacts there. If it breaks through those and starts bouncing back or struggles to continue with momentum, then I wouldn't even take the trade. But if it cruises right through to my 35 and it's got plenty of momentum, then I jump in. Okay, so that's how you would do it currently in a live situation. Let's now go back and look at some past breakouts that confirmed and have already played out. So here's one last night. If you just went back a little bit further, the most recent setup that triggered would have been, actually it wasn't last night, this is 2 days ago it looks like. Okay, we had a breakout point right here, right? If you look, we had the market pushing up with the stochastic above 80 right here. There's your 80 push, so you know you've got a decent run. So it's potentially a significant point for a breakout and a nice continuation to follow. And so you would check here, okay, do we have the 3 bars to the left and the right? Well, you do. You've got lower, lower, and then you've got lower highs to the right. So that's a valid breakout point. So what do we do at this point? Well, we're going to go check that sentiment just to make sure that there's not some really strong limit orders that are sitting there and traders with stops. Okay, so that's 39.14, and that would have actually been right here. Okay, there's that little point. Okay, so look at this. There was actually buy orders that when those buy orders get triggered, it's actually going to help push the market up, which is what happened. Now, there wasn't any dark red. The only sell orders that were resisting this setup was way up here. And look what the market did. That's right where it went. It went up there and then bounced. So we would have taken this breakout trade. Market sentiment filter agreed. Stochastic filter said it was above 80, that we had a strong shift in momentum. And if it breaks through, there was a good chance of a continued breakout or continued trend. So we would have been long right there for a nice run, immediately popped up. Should have been very easy to catch at least the 30 pip run on that. Okay, now if you want some training on where to put stops and targets, I do have a couple free lessons on the blog, but we've also got Forex 3D that we just opened back up, where I've got a dedicated module on exits. So you can learn more about Forex 3D at it's tradewestforex.com/Forex3D. Okay, so that's how the setup works. Let's look at a swing low that's already played through, and then I think that we'll probably wrap it up and get you the link for Informer if you don't have it, and we'll also go into the Q&A. So let's go back. Let's see where the last swing low to go short, a breakout to go short would have been. Let's see where one's actually been triggered. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this one, you had the signal line moved down below 20. So this one was kind of close. When I see this type of setup, I go in a little more conservative on my risk settings. So if I'm normally risking 3%, for example, maybe I'll only risk 1 on a setup like this, where you've only got a real quick touch and go. You didn't really kind of consolidate, or the moving average line didn't come below like it did here. You just had this level. So you could either skip those or take them with a lower risk, but this was a setup. Right here's your low, had the 3 bars to the right, and your entry would have been short right there. Okay, so it made a slight pullback and then made a run down. And then we could of course go check that on the market sentiment to see during that time if there were any significant buy orders that might bounce the price back up. So that was 38.67, and so that would have been right here on this little test, that little test down. Okay, so when you were looking to take that trade, let me see here, make sure I got 38.67. So that actually was about right up here. Okay, so actually your significant orders were down at about 38.20. So you had some room. Your orders were down here at 38.20, and that's right where the price went, just a few pips away from there. So if you took that trade short, that's one way you could have found your exit, is say, okay, there's orders down here where I'm probably going to take my profits. If it comes just shy of there and starts to bounce back, on that close of that big bull candle, you take 15 or so pips, 15 or 20 pips on it and get out. But anyways, the filter said it was okay to take the trade. So let's look at one more that's a little more clear on a short, where you've got it definitely confirmed below the 20% level. Okay. Let's see. So there's a couple right in here. You've got one right here, but let's check that against. That's 11 days ago. We're not going to be able to use the 7 days right now to go back that far, but we could jump up to the monthly and to get an idea where they're at there at that time. Looks like it would have been down at about 38.10. Let's see, that was back on the 4th. Let's see, so 38.10. Yeah, so we're not going to be able to grab the sentiment to go that far back. But anyways, we'd want to check on some of these. There's a pretty good chance there was a solid block of orders sitting right in here, because the market, as you can see, was struggling several times. But anyways, I think let's do this. Let's do one more, but let's try a different pair, or maybe even a different time frame. Let's just bump up to the daily. That's where I like to trade. Okay, so let's do this on the daily chart. We've got way back over here was where you first got above 80%. Okay, so you're up above the 80. You're looking for a swing high. And right in here, it didn't form one, right? It didn't quite get the high. It just kept pushing up. Well, it was still above 80 right here when it formed finally a swing point. There's your three highs to the left and right of the swing point. So that's a valid setup. Let's mark it. That's where we would take a long position over here. And let's check that level on market sentiment. Now, since we're on the daily, we can use the 1 month. So that's going to be, that was back on the end of February. So let's see, that was sitting at 37.73. Okay, so that would have been right in here when the market was pushing up. You did have these heavy sell orders sitting on the market. Now, this was probably news that it was able to just push it right through because the orders were deleted based on just how fast that candle pushed through. But anyway, if I saw those orders, I would be careful taking that trade. I would wait till it broke through them or skip that trade. Okay, so let's see. I think you probably got the idea. We could go over plenty of setups. And the nice thing about this one is it's all based on closed bars. So there's nothing you're going to need to have happen intra-bar, which means it's easy to backtest and practice when the markets are closed even. Okay, what I like to do is just scroll to the right, and then I'll just use the F12 key to walk it 1 bar at a time, and see if I get that 3-bar low right there. Okay, I got it. I'll mark it. Then I can say, okay, let's go check our sentiment, and walk it forward and see if it breaks, and say, okay, I got a short trade. I can practice simulating trades with this method, and pretty much all the methods I teach work that way, where you don't have to be there at the moment that it triggers. You just know that it's a confirmed setup, and you know exactly where you're going to take the trade before it even gets there. Okay, so hopefully this short little lesson made sense, and that's something you guys can practice and have some success with. So let me go ahead and get you the link to Informer if you don't have it. It's one of our free trading tools. It has a lot of different features that we didn't cover today. It's got the market sentiment that we showed you how to use it with this method, where you can locate true support and resistance that is formed from real market orders and order flow. It's got news alerts built in, so you'll never get caught in an unexpected event. Trade execution, you can actually instantly trade and manage multiple accounts on the tool. Built-in money management. We're actually adding a new money management feature called Risk Hero that allows you to helps you turn losing systems into winners and turn your profitable systems, put them on steroids. So that's going to be coming hopefully next week. But you can download the free tool. It's at TradeWestForex.com/informer. Installation's really easy. And if you don't have a password for it, which you probably don't if you're brand new to downloading it, there's a link when it goes to log in that says click here and it'll send you one. But that's it. I'll go ahead and post it here in the chat, and then we'll go into the Q&A. So TradeWestForex.com/informer. So take your time learning this method. It's not going to, it might not work perfectly the first time for you, but if you practice it and stick with it and apply good money management, I know you can have success with it. So let's go ahead and do the Q&A now. I can already see some questions coming in. Let me go ahead and catch up and answer those. Let's see here. What is the %K? That's just one of the settings for the formula for the stochastic indicator. So it's got %K period, %D, slowing, a couple different parameters in here. The only one we really change from most default settings is just the period to a 5 period from a 14. Someone was asking, was this a fractal? Yeah, I guess, yeah, a fractal could be considered 3 bars to the left and to the right. I think it may be 4. Really, it's just a swing point, just a swing low, swing high. But yeah, if you understand those better as a fractal, then that's fine. Okay, someone had a question actually about the FTC. we just got caught up on all those emails last night, so if you didn't get a reply, if you can just go ahead and forward that one more time, and let me know when you do that, and I'll check and make sure we got your email. Let's see, my market sentiment tab is never showing up for me. It says when I log in, it's checking. It will not work since I just have the free. Well, no, it should work. You just have to make sure you log in. What you might have to do is actually reinstall it if for some reason it's stuck. We've had a few people with that issue where it just won't log in for some reason. So what you need to do is go and uninstall the program and reinstall it. And that should take care of that issue. Let's see. Yeah, we can get you that link, Julie. You could probably even stay in the webinar, and I can go in and I can private message it to you here in a bit when I get through this Q&A. Do you have a preference between the two methods, the trend line compared to the stochastic? You know what? I probably do prefer the trend line method maybe over this one myself, but I mean, the reason I taught this lesson is because some traders, work better with certain systems, is all I can really put it. Is some traders, might struggle drawing trend lines or can't make it work, and then this method they can. So I like to kind of just give you many options, many different things and strategies that you can pick from. You don't have to trade them all, but you might find one or two that work well for your preferences and style of trading. I have an older Informer downloaded. I can see you're showing it's much more updated. Is there an upgrade? Yeah, if you have a pretty old version, we had an auto updater we added at one point that it should automatic update for you. You could go down to help or about. Based on your version, it might be one or the other, but go in and you can click check for updates. And when you do that, it will go ahead and tell you if you have the latest version or not. If not, it will go ahead and download. Give you the option to download the new one. If that's not there, if you have a really old version, then just go ahead and use the link I posted, TradeWestForex.com/informer, to download it again. Just make sure if you download it if you're reinstalling it, to close it completely. Okay, just closing it from the X right here doesn't completely close it. That just puts it down in the tray. So you'll need to completely close the tool before you reinstall, and then you won't have any problems. Okay, let's see. Would this method be more effective if you use the 200 EMA, or is this strategy for ranging markets? You can actually do that if you want to stick with the major trend and maybe improve your winning rate with that. If the pair you're trading is a trending pair, then yeah, if you add the 200 and just stick with that direction, you'll probably have a higher win rate. So if it's above the 200, only take longs. If it's below, you can go short. Can you be profitable in the long run with only 1-to-1 risk to reward? Well, yeah, you can be profitable with any risk to reward in the long run. I've just found that the lower your risk to reward, the more difficult it is to stay focused and really survive. Because here's the thing, if a trader that is in there risking 100 pips to make 10 pips, he's gonna have that feeling of success a lot because he's going to be winning a lot, right? He's probably going to win a good chunk of his trades, but then he's going to get hit hard with that 100 pip stop and wipe out his last 10 winners. So you can still be profitable with that, but it takes a lot more discipline because you're going to have to stick with your strategy and go through those really tough times where you wipe out all your losses or your gains. Now, at 1-to-1, you only have to be 50% right on your trades, just slightly over 50%. What 1-to-1 means is you're risking 10 pips to make 10, or you're risking 100 to make 100. It doesn't matter. And it makes it so if you lose a trade, you should get it back on your next trade. So it's 1-to-1. If you have 1-to-2, then you can lose 2 trades, and 1 trade will make back your losses. So that's the idea. Is it's mostly just a psychological thing that that the better the risk to reward, the more likely you are to succeed because your emotions are less in control, I guess you could say. But the same goes if you have a really high risk to reward. You've got to be disciplined to know that if you have 5 losses in a row and you have a really good risk to reward, that you're going to make it all back with 1 or 2 trades. You just got to stick with it and keep going. Yep, we record these, and like I say, we post them on the blog. So look for that on Monday in your email. I'll post the link here to the blog as well, where you can find all of the replays that get posted. It's just TradeWestForex.com/blog. So there it is. Tim says, can you check on the US yen on the 7th and see what happened? Sure, we can do that. Let's go to US yen on the sentiment, and we'll also go on the chart. Back on the 7th, I don't know if we can get that far back here. Let's see. The 7th, we were coming over the weekend, so we'd have to use our 1 month. So I probably can only look at it now on the daily, but let's take a look here. Oops. Okay. So back on the 7th. Okay, yeah, you do have a swing high that formed right there. It was one of those that the average did catch up. It got up there. So yeah, it would have been a valid swing high right there. And it hasn't gone up and broke it yet. Now that's the daily. Maybe you were looking at the 1 hour. And I won't be able to check that against sentiment now because it was a week ago, but let's see. Same thing though. It popped up. That was probably a news event that shot the market up, but it popped it up there. It gave you the resistance, but it never broke. Okay, and you almost had a swing low. It didn't quite get below the 20 level there, and either way, it didn't break. Okay, let's see what else we got. Can this strategy be used on 15-minute charts? Yes, it can. You can use this on anything, any time frame. If you go down to that one, you're probably going to want to flip sentiment to the 24-hour period. But yeah, you can throw this down to a 15-minute, 5-minute, whatever you'd like. The idea is that if you're on these lower time frames, you're going to have to realize you're going to be on your charts a lot more. And for me, I don't like that. I like to spend as little time as possible trading and looking at my charts. So I go to the dailies. But if you want to do the 15-minute and watch charts, then it'll work there. Okay, so here's, let's see what a setup would have looked like. Here's one right here. Oops, not that point, right over here. Okay, there you got the below the 20. It formed, gave the breakout, pulled back, and broke out further. But let's check the sentiment on that for you, just so you can see if there was any significant buy orders sitting at that price at that time. That was 101.60 on the 14th here, 101.60. Yep, there was a block of buy orders there. See that? Now, it eventually broke them over here, but it sat there and bounced several times off of them. So I would not have taken that trade, knowing that it was probably just going to push through and bounce like it did. Okay, now over here a little bit later though, this is where it broke through those orders. And there's where it got barely below 20 and then broke through. This is at 101.50. Okay, so 101.50, it was right on top of the buy orders. Now, when it pushed through those, that's where, like on that other trade I showed you earlier, when it breaks through and confirms that it's actually breaking through those, somewhere down in here, I'll still jump in and take the breakout. I just want to make sure it doesn't come down here and bounce like every other time that it did. Okay, do you see the difference here? How it came down, touched and bounced, came down, touched and bounced. Here it did not. It closed through, closed through. Okay, we're going through, so I'm taking short. Could get in short here, could get in short here. Either way, it's confirmed and you could catch that little 20 pip run. Now the key is if you're going to trade 15-minute, don't go put a massive stop in. For these breakout trades, don't need a lot of room. Okay, figure out where your support is. Okay, after that signal, your next level of support wasn't till below 101. Okay, so you can figure out where your support is, figure out where your resistance is, and set your targets based off of those. Now I've got a more advanced approach, like I say in the Forex 3D that I teach, but that can get you started. And like I said, you can review some of the trainings on the blog for more help on this. Okay, what else we got here? Do we enter a few pips below the breakout point, or do we wait for the bar to close for a sell entry? Well, just like I kind of showed you here, as long as there's no major support in the way, you can pretty much get in right away on the break. Just a pip below, or pip after the breakout. But if there is orders in the way, then I like to do like I showed you here and wait for confirmation. Get some distance below, get some closes below the level, see that it's actually not pulling back, and then take the trade at that point. Let's see. Yeah, when I'm on a daily chart, I could use pending orders, or I usually look at the markets at the end of day, so at about 5 p.m. Eastern, and I usually can just get in it with a market order at that point, even if I'm not in at the exact same breakout price, as long as it hasn't broke out too much further. But let's see, what else? Can Informer work with any broker? Yeah, you can use it with any broker you want. The data that we're pulling comes from a broker with a large amount of liquidity providers, so it gives us a pretty global coverage of what kind of order flow we're seeing. But if you're looking at as far as trading your accounts and adding trading accounts on the Accounts tab here, yeah, you can add any broker you want. Click Add Account, select your broker. If it's not listed, then go ahead and leave a suggestion here, or click the you could click Report Issue and just say, hey, my broker's not listed, and we'll get it added for you. It only takes us 5 minutes to add it for you. So Marvin, I think you said you're looking at the last trade on the US yen. The very last one. Let's see. Maybe if you're on the 1 hour US yen. So yeah, we kind of did cover the short on the 15 minutes. Same type of thing on the 1 hour. Let's go back to sentiment to the 7-day. Okay, so what's going on here today is it's sitting right on top of buy orders. They're not major buy orders, but like you didn't have dark green, but it's slowly making its way through here. So you could still take that trade, and there's a good chance, Monday or Sunday when the market's open, it could continue through here. There's sell orders, and there's additional buy orders below at the 101 level, 30 pips down, but there isn't really any major orders. So yeah, that sell trade signal would have got you in actually back here on the 1 hour based on this swing point. Okay, and like I showed you here, at that time you had buy orders, but they weren't dark green. So you could take it maybe a little more conservative or just get in, and it did give you a nice little run down so far. And it looks like it's still not done. So for pending orders, you use buy stop for long, sell limit for short. Well, no, it'd be buy stop for long, sell stop for short. Anytime you're getting in at a worse price in a breakout, that's going to be stop orders. Now inside Informer, when you use the trading tool to actually enter trades on your account, I could go down here to my US yen, select my trading broker account, and I could click pending order. And it's going to figure out the type of order for you. All you got to do is put in the price. So for this example, I was going to sell at 101.53. So I would just put in 101.53. Now obviously the price is lower, so it's a limit now. But when the price was above, it would have said stop. Okay, so for example, if I move this down to below the market, you'll see it already changed my order. It's going to put in a sell stop. Right? So I can go ahead and do a test for you guys here. Show you how this works. So yeah, I could put in a sell stop, and it put in my 101.13. I could have put in my stop and targets too, but it's put in a pending sell stop order for me right there. Now I could also use the same price to put in a buy limit at the same price. I don't have to change anything. Just hit buy, and it put in a buy limit at that price. It knows what type of order to do for you. And I can delete these off. Nice and easy. Okay, what else we've got here? Okay, another question about the FTC side of things. If you never got a confirmation email, let me know what your email is right now here, and I can go resend that. And we'll see if it goes through for you. And Julia, hang around too, and I'll get you those links that you were looking for. Latest Informer update opens automatically when I open my computer. Then I can't close it without logging in first. You know, we are looking to actually change the way that our authentication works. We're looking to make it so that you don't even have to log in until you go to use the Accounts tab, because that's where we need to store broker information and secure it and things like that. So, and when we do that, we're going to have it where it lets you create a user account from right within the tool. But so some of that will probably be fixed on if you're having issues with it automatically loading up. Also, if you don't want Informer to automatically pop up and log in, you can go ahead down here to Options. I think it's in General Settings, and you can turn off the Start with Windows. Okay, but most of the time you're going to want to have that on, so you don't have to, that way you don't forget to turn it on in case you've got tools running, alerts set and different things. But I would just look forward to the next update, and some of those login issues will be resolved. Can you add more currency pairs to Informer? We can't add more to the sentiment. This is what the liquidity providers give us. That's it, and that's why we're kind of limited on what we can do with the tool. We can't, let you see exactly what price you're at. They don't give us that. It's basically an image. It's an image that you're looking at, not a chart that's generated like you'd think. But that's what we got, and it's very, very valuable, so we'll take what we can get. Now, if you're talking about can you add pairs for manual trading through our tool, like on the quote board, then yeah, you can right-click in here, symbols, go to your broker. You could right-click and say Show All or Hide All, or inside of here, go turn on the ones that you want, and it'll add them in here for you. And that's where you can open up your trades. Just double-click, take a trade. There's all kinds of stuff you'll find when you get this downloaded and when you play around with it a bit. And in the mailbox, there's actually a welcome video, kind of a tour that you can click here, and it will kind of walk you through how to use some of the, pretty much all the different features, a quick summary of it all. Let's see. The input parameters are 80, 0, 20. When do you exactly enter a buy or sell order? You enter after it breaks. Okay, so once you find the 80 or 20% level and the swing low, and you confirm that there's not any major block of market sentiment orders, then you sell when it breaks that point. If there are orders right on top of your breakout, then you can sell when you get confirmed breakthrough, when you close below those orders. In 3D, do you use software strategies like Cecil's or Dustin's Trade Advisor Pro or Trade Advisor? We kind of what we do with 3D is we just expand training on some of the different things in Informer, and then I've got some three core trading strategies that I use, that I have a couple indicators on the charts that we use. So, I guess it's kind of similar to that, but it's more of a, just three core trading strategies, and then a full, a full strategy on exits. I think there's 2 or 3 different strategies on exiting trades, trailing stops, where to put stops and targets, all that stuff. I'll give you guys the link here, and I've got a little video. I could probably even give you the replay to the webinar. Let me just post that. That's where I go through and explain kind of what you get inside the Forex 3D. Actually, let's do this. Yeah, I'll just post the replay. That's probably going to be the best way to go. So here's the replay link to Forex 3D. Just tradewestforex.com/Forex3D/webinar/replay. Anyways, I posted it in the chat. Should we buy or sell the US yen? Well, the sell trade would have already been about 20 pips ago. several hours ago was the last setup on the 1 hour. Now if you're looking at like a 15-minute, it might have been different. Okay, we looked up here, you had that short signal, it would have been somewhere down in here. After it broke this level and broke through those confirmed market sentiment orders at 50. So the entry actually would have been probably down in here once it broke down below. Let's see. Let's see what else we got coming in here. 4 hour. Yeah, you can do it on the 4 hour. That's right. Nick makes a good point. Is if you're the guy that's trying to get in there and just looking for a high win rate, if you don't keep good risk to reward, you're probably going to have a high win rate and win 80%, 90% of your trades. But then that one big loss wipes it all out, right? And that's why most people don't do well with trying to have a high win rate, because they don't want to take a loss. They just don't want to give it all back. And then what happens is they get into a really bad situation and lose it all. So that's why I prefer to try and shoot for 1-to-1 or better. Then I never get in that situation. I take my losses and I move on to the next trade knowing that I'll get it back. I'll get it back in one trade instead of 10 trades. Okay, it's obviously, psychologically, it's a lot more difficult to go get back 10, have to win 10 times just to get back a loss than just win one time. So yeah, so stochastics are 5-3-3. What would you do at the current market conditions with this pair? Would you buy or sell? Well, again, it's like based on whatever time frame you're on. If I'm on the 1 hour, I wouldn't do anything right now. I would have had to have already been in short back here. So now I'm not going to do anything on that pair. Okay, now if I missed that one, maybe I could say, okay, it did come down here to the 20% level again. And so now you've got a new market structure or a swing low right there. So I could go short if it breaks there. Now for me, on a 1 hour chart, I wouldn't take that until the market opens back up, because it's not going to probably have much momentum here at the end of the day. But I would look there, and then I would check my sentiment and make sure too that there's no significant buy orders sitting there. So there's really not until down at, really there's not any major orders till below 101, where that dark little green spot's at. So I'd have to realize there's only 20 pips of room here, so if I take it short, I should keep my stop at about 20 and my target at 20. So that's how I would do it on the current market conditions. Yeah, again, Danny's asking, will I get a copy of this webinar? We will post the replay on the blog. Looks like my screen wasn't sharing there for a minute. So there's that price I was marking off. So we'll post a replay on the blog on Monday. Let me show you. I'll just show you the blog really quick if you guys haven't been there before. Just TradeWestForex.com/blog. So the most recent replay and blog post goes right here. So here's last week's simple trendline break strategy. Okay, you can click here, watch the replay, scroll down. Here's the download link to Informer. Here's the blog post explaining what we talked about. You can leave a comment down here. Here's Sandy leaving a comment. Says, truly brilliant when it comes to Forex trading. Thanks for the knowledge. Great class. Anyways, that's the blog, where the blog is, and that's where we put the posts. So this one will go there. We usually have it up and ready on Monday, sometimes sooner, but we do officially send out an email on Monday with that. How many pips different of the swing lows or highs to set pending orders? Like I said on that, I usually don't like to use the pending orders with this so much unless I know it's not too many bars away. If I know that it's probably going to get triggered the next couple bars and the market sentiment's not going to change, then I can put it right at the swing low, just a pip below it, or right above the swing high, 1 pip above. Okay, I'll look up that email for you on the FDC confirmation. Let's go see if I can resend that to you here real quick. Or you know what? Let's see. I've only got a couple more questions, and then what I'll do is I'll close this Q&A down, and then anybody else that has a couple of these little issues, stick around, and I'll I'll work on them for you. So in market sentiment, we actually have several different trainings on that on the blog. Just go down here and click market sentiment in the categories, and there's several posts on how to use market sentiment. So you can go through and watch those over the weekend or on your free time and review. There's a lot of good stuff in there. The breakout, we don't look at the breakout 80, 50, 80, 20. We just look at that to find a swing low and a swing high. That's all we're using the stochastic for. Because see, obviously there's tons of swing lows and highs on the charts, but we're using this stochastic as a filter. So we can say, okay, we're only going to pay attention to the ones where the sentiment, or not sentiment, the stochastic exceeded that 80% or 20% level. So see right here, we would check for a swing high. Here we would not. We would not use that swing because it was not above 80. Or for a swing low, we would not use this one because it was not below 20. But we would use this one. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, 1 to 2 usually is more difficult to get. That's why I'll use scaling out to try to achieve that. I'll take 1 to 1, scale out, and then ride the trade up further to the 1 to 2 and move my stop up. Yeah, George, let's connect on TeamViewer. We jump on Skype after this webinar, and we'll connect and figure out that issue on your MetaTrader for you. Where do I get a summary of Momentix trades? Let me gift you that. We have a trade finder for Momentix. I think it's TradeWestForex.com/Momentix/trades. I'll post that link in here for those of you that are looking for Momentix trades, where you can kind of follow those signals. Can you use range bars like Renko charts versus candles? Yeah, I haven't tried the stochastic indicator on those, but you could try it. It should, if those charts are compatible with it, it should work. It's all about just testing it and seeing if it, looking at some setups and seeing if it's working. Do you exit on 1 to 2 or just move your stop? On 1 to 2, I still probably just move my stop. I've got some different methods I use for various strategies, but I usually try to, I like to try and catch as much of the move as I can with trailing and scaling. So, well, I think that's going to be it on the questions, guys. Those of you, like I said, stick around if you had a couple technical issues that I'm going to go dig in for you, but I'm going to hop off the mic for now. So, thanks, guys, for coming to the webinar today. Hope this lesson will help you guys, and we'll get this recording out and up on the blog. So thanks again, and have a great weekend.